I'm Jenny. Welcome to my channel where we focus on using ordinary materials to make beautiful things. Today I am thinking about the Japanese art of mending bowls and teacups, pottery, things like that, with precious metals like gold and platinum to create something beautiful out of something that's been broken. So as I was thinking about broken things and things that break and what I might glue back together, I started thinking about seashells. So I decided to try 3 different methods of creating that look on some images that I might then use in one of my journals or on a card or something like that. So I'm going to show you the 3 different things, and then I'll kind of walk through how I did the process for each of them. It's really basically the same until you get to whichever medium you're going to put on there. So the first thing I tried was embossing markers, right? So these are wet look embossing markers, and I used the clear one, and then I put either gold embossing powder or a bronze embossing powder. So here's one with the gold. I can tell you, using the heat tool on it kind of buckled my papers. These are not very sturdy papers, and I did put them on some heavier paper to back it when I glued them down. But the air bubbles any air bubbles that I might have had kind of buckled it. So I am having some trouble with that. I think if I lay them under some books and flatten them out, that will help. I can just, pick the air bubble with a pin and flatten them out. So I think that'll be okay, but that is one of the things I've had. So this is a little bit thicker line. Here's one that didn't buckle, that did okay, and it was a much thinner line, a little more subtle. Here's one that's a thicker line. I liked it because you could see the line better, and I did this one in bronze. So these 2 are in the gold. So this is with the embossing powder and embossing markers. Now, not everybody has those, so I did a couple other things too. The next thing I tried was this one, and again, it's buckling a little bit because I used the heat gun on it to try to speed up the drying, and I probably shouldn't have done that, but it is what it is. I used iridescent silver scribbles paint. This is like a fabric paint that you could, in the little bottles. I also have, this one's silver iridescent as well. I don't have a gold in this, so I have a silver, and it's kind of a pearly as opposed to a glittery look. So that's what this one looks like. I think if you had this, or I'm not sure what stickles do, but after watching people use stickles on videos, I'm guessing you could use stickles for this. Most of the really metallic-y colors I have are blue and green and red and orange, purple, and things like that. So they don't really look like, the mending that I was kind of going for. So I think this is okay. I don't know that it's really any better than this one. It's a little messier because my hands aren't very steady, so I had a hard time keeping it really steady and neat. If you have steady hands, maybe this one would work better for you than it did for me. But in the end, when I look at them, I don't see a lot of difference, except that this one's silver and I don't have any silver embossing powder. I don't see a lot of difference in how it looks in the end as far as the finish goes. And so this was a lot quicker. I didn't have to really wait for it to dry, although it did buckle my paper a little. So it's kind of a, this is good, pros and cons with each one. So I'm still going to set that aside. I'm not sure it's quite dry. And then the last thing I did was I used some art glitter glue and glitter. These are still wet, so I haven't been able to brush off all the extra glitter yet to see, but they're very blingy, so not not nearly as subtle as the other one. So I think it's just a different look. I think this would be really fun. It would be really fun to do this on like in a Christmas album, if you had a picture of an ornament or something that you wanted to break the ornament and put this on it, because then it would be really glittery on the ornament. So I think because it's almost Easter, we're gonna try some of these methods on some Easter egg shapes and see how they go. So I'm going to set these aside. There's, as I said, they're still wet. I think once they're dry, I should be able to, you know, wipe off some of this extra glitter that's on the side and get a better, you know, idea of how it's going to look. I think I'll probably like it better then, but right now it's, you know, it's a little messy, but like I said, it's not dry. Okay. So let's take a look at what I did. I'm sure it's pretty obvious what I did. But you know, just in case, just in case you want to see how I did it. I do think you have to kind of pick images that you think might look good with something zigzagged across it. So here's one more shell that I had picked out to maybe do. Then I started digging through my stuff. I thought at first I did the shells because I would like to do kind of an ocean themed journal. I love the ocean. I love shells. And so I thought that would be fun, and I could have those to put on pages or journal cards or something like that. So I do have one more shell that I might want to go ahead and go do. Then I thought, well, what else could I break? You know, I can break eggs, right? Eggs are breakable. And since Easter's coming, I just cut out, just from scrap papers that had things on them, I just cut out like a basic egg shape. So it's just an oval that's a little wider at the bottom than it is at the top. If you're unsure of cutting that yourself, I'm sure you could get a template online. If you just Google egg shape, you know, wouldn't be any big deal to get that. Then I also was looking through, I thought, oh, it'd be fun to do a plate or an actually like teacup. But I made a tea themed journal not too long ago, and I used pretty much every teacup image I have in that. So I did find these, which I thought might be fun. They're a little small, but I thought they might be okay. So let's glue some stuff down. You need to put it on something so that when you cut it apart and move it apart, there's something for the glue to, you know, or the embossing marker to stick to. So you need to put it on something. You could put it on a book page. A lot of these are kind of thin, so I was putting them on this a little bit heavier craft paper. And then it's just a matter of creating cuts that you think might look like breakage, like if something broke. So, you know, if it broke, you know, it might be a straight line, but it might be, you know, zigzaggy, right? And it might be in more than one place, right? So that's how they go together. So we just want to glue them so they're a little bit apart, and you can have wider or narrower. And let's see, let's go back to look at some of these. So this was the very first one I did, and it was pretty narrow, and I think it's pretty. I think it's pretty subtle. I like it though. And then the wider ones are a little easier to see. So I kind of like the wider. I think this one is really pretty, but it's not, you don't really see the, you know, the gold that much. And I made the mistake of just kind of cutting it straight. I think these are better because they're more jagged and broken. So maybe that's what I don't really like about this one. This one was the very first one I did. So we can, you know, we can do some different sizes here apart. So I am using my universal wallpaper and border adhesive, which is what I like to use when I'm gonna actually stick a lot of something down. Want to make sure it stays. So that's what I'm using. So I'm just gonna put a lot of glue on. I'm trying to keep it from buckling too much, you know, because it's wet. So let's see, let's put that one down first so it's closer to the edge there. And And I'm just running over the whole thing because it seals it. And it's not a matte finish really, but it's a little less shiny than the magazine images were. These are actually out of a book, but they were, you know, shiny photos from a book. So when you put it down, you just want to try to get an even, you know, an even breakage looking across the, you know, from side to side, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So it just looks even. And it's okay when you put your stuff on if you come out a little past it, because you're going to cut it out. So if you come out past it a little bit, then you can even it up as you cut. Because when you take it apart and move it apart, it kind of changes. It changes your sizes and like where, like this is kind of, you know, going to come, instead of being all the way into here, instead of being all the way in here, it's only going to come in a little bit. So it's just a matter of, you know, trying to make it even and getting it glued down. Okay, so we got that one down. Let's try these cups. I'm not really sure. They're goblets. I'm not sure. I think they're made out of, you know, some kind of fancy glass. I don't know. These are magazine images and they're very thin. So I'm trying to think, you know, it already has a little bit of kind of gold along here. So I don't know that I want to, you know, use that. So trying to not wrinkle it, but I have not done a very good job. Okay, that's a little better. Okay, now I've dropped my piece, so let me grab that. Of course. Oh, I see that's not quite stuck. There we go. I want the, you know, there to be enough glue to hold it, but I had some trouble with it buckling, so I don't want to overdo the glue if I can help it. So this is a smaller image, so I think I'm going to do it a little bit smaller, a little closer. It's a magazine image too, so it wants to wrinkle. Let's see, where should we put the breakage on this one? We've got this one kind of going this way, maybe up that way, so they don't quite look the same. All right. Maybe it's the base paper I've chosen. Maybe I shouldn't have chosen this craft paper. If I'd have chosen a book page, perhaps it would have worked better. Maybe because I chose a thicker base. You know, come to think of it, that might be it. I'm just moving this around on you. Sorry. You have some wrinkles there, but in the end, I mean, it's a cutout from a magazine, so it's not. Oh my gosh, I got it too close. Okay. Didn't even think about getting it too close there, so let's do this. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this one out. It can dry off to the side by itself. We can put this on. And if the top edge here is hanging off the paper a little bit, then so be it. right? It shouldn't affect, you know, the part that we're going to work on here. So I've got that sitting off the edge, but we'll just have to cope. Okay, I'm trying to... get some of those bubbles out. There we go. Okay. So as long as the broken part that you're going to adhere the glue, the glitter, the paint, whatever to, is on the paper, that's really what we need. So if this part's hanging off a little bit, I mean, it'll be a little bit thinner, you know, when I'm working with it later, but it's not the end of the world. I mean, I can fix that. This is coming up. Let's try this. Should have gotten my little card scraper out to start with. There we go. All right. Pay attention to how close you are to something else. Okay, so let's try some of these egg shapes. I think these are going to be fun. I really like the idea of having like a cracked egg. You know, I think that might be kind of fun. So I'm just going to do, I think, one crack, but I'm going to kind of make it jagged. Like that. Okay, let's go ahead and glue that one down. And we'll do each of the different methods on the eggs maybe to see how that works. You know, usually I don't have any trouble with this glue, so I just don't know why I am today. Okay, there's my phone. I'm going to stop and go answer it, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Nothing big happening. I just worry about taking my phone off the hook, turning my phone off, just in case somebody in the family needs to get hold of me. You know how that is. So I apologize for getting off track there, but shouldn't be a big deal, I don't think. I was saying that I usually don't have any trouble with this glue, and today I'm having problems with it, so it has to be the paper I chose to go underneath, because this glue usually works like a charm, and it's just not wanting to stick, and the edges are coming up. And one of the reasons I use this glue is because I don't have problems with the edges coming out, but alas, today I'm having trouble. So that's, I'm sure that happens to all of us. Something that we think is gonna work, that usually works for us, doesn't all of a sudden. So just want to kind of lay these out, make sure they're gonna go. All right, so that one's kind of sideways. We will do this one like this. I don't know how this is going to glue. This is paper that I turned into faux stained glass using a little bit of baby oil. It is dry, You know, and it has been, I used watercolor markers and then I used some baby oil to turn it into kind of a semi-transparent. I call it faux stained glass. I think some people are, it's like faux vellum, you know, where you kind of make something into vellum. So it's like that. So I'm hoping that it's going to stick, but given how things have not been sticking today, I'm beginning to think maybe not. Oh, but the paint's coming off. Oh my gosh, it just lifted up. Oh, good heavens. Okay. I'll do it with this. No scraper, apparently. Don't use the scraper. I did not think it was going to take that color off. Oh well, live and learn, right? This is kind of just an experiment anyway, so I'm not really sure, you know, how well it's going to work in the end. But I wanted to make something that looked a little different. I wanted to use what I already had. Didn't want to have to buy something new. Kind of gotten that one off track a little bit. Yep, it's just because it's so wet and I used water-based. Probably should have sealed it. If I had maybe put some clear gesso on it, that probably would have kept it from doing that. But that's okay. I think color-wise we're all right. It just looks faded and watery, which is fine. You can see that I got a little off track. That's okay, because when I cut it out, I can kind of trim it a little and even it back up. So it shouldn't be a problem. I can just get it to stick. I was worried about that one. Okay, so what else do I have? This was some paper that I had done some painting on. So that was painted paper. This is just printed paper. This is from a book. It's a little heavier. And then this was the faux vellum. So we'll see how each of those maybe works out. This one has the curvy lines, so maybe we'll just do something a little curvy on that. So moving right along here. Got it close on one end and further away on another. Okey-dokey. Okay, well that one's adhering nicely. That's probably the best one all day. So maybe it is what I've chosen. All right, last one. Let's see, we've got kind of zigzag across, kind of got zigzag up and down. This one's kind of wavy. This one almost looks like it's gonna open, right? Like it's gonna open up. Let's just do the zigzag again with a little bit different shape. Okay, is this gonna fit? Looks like it. Let's do this side first because it's closer there. And if it hangs off the edge a little, it's okay. This one's sticking pretty well. Maybe it's just the combination of, you know, the heavier paper and then the lighter stuff on top. I don't know. The regular paper things seem to be sticking pretty well. This one a little bit wider, I think. Okay, that one's pretty dry. Some of these are still a little wet though, so I'm gonna turn off the camera and I'm gonna give them a little bit of a chance to dry. I was going to probably use the heat tool on it, but honestly, after the other ones buckled so much, I think I want to just let it dry. I don't think it'll take very long. So I'm going to turn off the camera, and I'm going to cut them apart so they're individual pieces to work on. And then when they're dry enough, I think I will turn the camera back on and we will do the next step. Okay, I'm back. I have cleaned up my mess a little bit and let these sit for just a few minutes to dry. They seem pretty dry, so I think we'll be okay to move on. I'm getting a little bit of buckling, but not too bad. All right, so let's try the embossing powders first. I used just the clear one so that there wouldn't be any color to compete with the embossing powder. These come in lots of colors, so I'm not really sure how much of the color shows through. So I think maybe if you had clear embossing powder and you use this color, you would see the color through the clear powder. But since I have colored powder, I'm just going to use the clear. So I went a little beyond when I'm putting this down for the embossing powder to stick to, because then I can cut off any excess, but then that allows me to control that, as opposed to I didn't quite get to the end and it's not quite enough. Just want to wipe that off. I got some on the shell there that I don't want. And I'm going over it several times to make sure it's good and wet so that this will stick to it. So let's do the gold. Yeah, working with this is a lot like working with glitter. Although honestly, I can tell you it's not quite as pervasive as glitter. It seems like when you put it back in the jar, it goes. Yep, I got some on my shell there, and I didn't mean to. So now's the time to clean it off, because once you use the heat gun, the embossing powder kind of turns to a sort of a plasticky feel material. So it's not coming off after. So I discovered that I should have done that on a couple of other ones, that I should have cleaned it up better before I used the heat tool on it. And if you know, if you take off too much, you can always go back in. I probably should have a smaller brush to do this, something more detailed, but this one seems to be okay. I'm just gonna blow on a little bit to get the stuff around the edges there. Okay, so let's dump this back in here. I just have a piece of scrap paper down so that I can catch my excess material. Put it back in the jar, just like you would with glitter. Okay, so I'm going to use the heat tool on this, so it will be a little loud. I apologize, but it doesn't take very long. Okay, as you can see, the heat tool started making my paper buckle a little bit. I do think I'll be able to flatten that back out later. And as you could see, as I was using this, it took it a couple of, seconds, a few seconds to heat up. But once it started turning to the liquid, it just melted it right away and became this. And then, once you're done with that, it's already dry. I don't have to wait for it. Let's cut it out really quickly just so we can kind of see how it's going to look. So you see what I mean here about having some right here that you can play with. That way you're in control of how much of that you leave or take off. So I left enough of it to look like it was bonding that together. Oh, pardon me. I don't know why suddenly I had to sneeze. Goodness. And then here too, I took it right up to the edge and a little beyond so that I could just cut across it. I'm an impatient cutter, so fussy cutting is not my strong point. I'll do it, but it doesn't make me happy. I like how it looks when I'm done, but, I get impatient, so there are things that I will not fussy cut because they're too fussy. And this shell is kind of bordering on the too fussy because of all the stuff on the edge, but at least it's easy. You can kind of see where it goes. There are some things that, you start cutting. It's like, I don't even know where to cut because it's so complicated. Okay. All right. So there we have that one. As I said, I think I'm going to need to, flatten it out a little bit under a book. That maybe, hopefully that'll help. So there's that one. And then again, the one I did before, I showed you guys. This one, I think the bubbles have just kind of ruined it, so I'm not sure. I tried pin pricking it and flattening them out, and I just can't. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that at all. Maybe nothing. And then there's this one. So we've got those. Okay, let's get rid of the excess there. Let's take a look at these. Should we do these in glitter or should we do these? Let's do these in the silver iridescent to see how that looks. So, as I said, I think you have to have a steadier hand maybe than I do. I'm going to try to leave my hand on the page as a steadying. And see, so here's my problem. I feel like that looks good, but I didn't quite fill the spot down here. So do I add some more? Maybe. Hopefully it'll blend. And then I start messing with it, but that looks actually better than the one I did last time. So I think once that's dry and we can cut it out, the only problem with this is you have to let it dry, but I do think that looks pretty nice. Let's do this one so that it matches its partner there. And this one, I think when I cut them apart, I think I left it a little wider, so there's a little bit of space. See, and here's what happens to me is I start filling it in because I feel like I didn't fill it in, and then it's not quite as even. And then I think, why didn't I just leave it alone? But that's not too bad. I think that's okay. So hopefully those will dry. It takes them a little while. This paint takes a while to dry because it's thicker. You know, usually when I use it, I leave it, you know, usually almost overnight, at least several hours before I mess with it too much. It does become dry enough that you could, you know, probably cut around the glass, cut it out. But if you push on it, you know, it's gonna smudge and schmutz and stuff. So I'm gonna set those up here, and then let's do some glitter. Let's look at our eggs here. So I want to show you, while I was cleaning up, I tested these and they seemed like they were dry enough for me to wipe off the excess glitter. I don't think they're quite dry enough for me to put them under a book yet to flatten them out. I am probably going to leave them overnight before I flatten them. But I really like how these look now that I have dusted off the excess glitter. So I think the glitter is really pretty. It's, you know, it's just a different look. So I think you have to decide which look you're going for. But I'm always in favor of the more bling, the better. So, you know, bling's good. So I think, let's see, which one of these should we do in gold? Let's do this one in gold glitter because it's got some gold here and the gold paint and some metallic paint. I think that might be pretty. So let's see what we have. Let me dust this off again. There's still some stuff on it. Okay. All right. And I have art glitter glue. Mine is, you know, works on fabric too, but that doesn't mean it doesn't work on glitter. So just gonna lay a bead of that. See, I seem to have a steadier hand with the glue. Although there's a little bit of a gap there, but I think with the glitter, it's probably going to be okay, but maybe we'll fill in just a little. There we go. Okay. Get the cap back on there. All right. I think and this glitter is not the super fine. I mean, it's fairly fine, but it's not the super fine. I have super fine, but my super fine is like hot pink and purple and things like that. So this is the finest gold glitter that I have, and I know some of you probably have some really super fine glitter, which would probably look better. That would be my guess. That looks good. I'm not going to get too close to the glue because I don't want to mess it up, but I do want to see if we can sweep off some of this so we can get a better idea of how it looks. Oh, now see, I really like that. I like the cracked egg kind of, you know, it's kind of funny. I think, you know, it's a cracked egg, right? But with the glitter and stuff, and I think that echoes this nicely. So I think that one's going to be really pretty when it's done. All right. Let's see if I can get the gold glitter in here without tipping it over. Should we do a silver one too? Maybe. All right. Get rid of some of that. Sorry for the noise, but all right. Which one of these should we do in silver, do you think? I think this one we should do in the metallic embossing because it's a little more subtle. let's do this one in silver glitter. Not doing a very good job now, am I? Good news about, since it's glue and glitter, you know, if the glue's not super pretty, as long as it's where it's supposed to go, that's all that counts, right? It's okay if it's a little, it's a little wonky there. Right? Probably clean it up a little bit. Okay, let's throw some silver on that one. My silver glitter is about as fine as my gold because, like I said, all my super fines are in really bright colors. Although on an Easter egg like this, it might be fun to do like a hot pink or a purple or something. I probably should have thought about that, but I was kind of going for the metallic, you know, fixed it with something precious. Although I guess if it's purple, maybe you could say you fixed it with some kind of amethyst or something, huh? Okay, so that's still got some glitter up against it that's going to come off later, but I don't want to touch it. I think that's going to be fun too. I like that. So you can tell I'm leaning towards the glitter ones, but that is definitely me. I am definitely all about glitter and bling and shiny stuff. Okay, let's do this one. Do another one of these in this. Oops, that edge of that is coming up just a little. Let's see if I can stick it down. Just need it to sit flat. Oh, I wonder if what if we did one in a color? Let me see. Okay, so I have glitter violet flash. I have iridescent orchid. Let's try the iridescent orchid because that's more like the silver, but in purple. Well, that's going to be fun, although I'm going to have to do it a couple of times because it's wide. And I hope some of you guys have steadier hands than I do. I just do not seem to do well with this kind of thing. I do find that when it dries, it's not as noticeable that you've put it in a line like that, but I have not done a very good job of that. That is not good at all. That is really, really not good. So I just feel like this is really, I've just done a poor job of that. Okay. Well, if I've done a poor job of it, then it's not going to hurt it if we do something else to it. So let's put some purple glitter on it. Right? So you can see this one is much finer. So maybe it'll be better. Again, I just got a lot of glitter there. This is going to take much longer to dry because that paint takes a lot longer to dry than the art glitter glue. But, so there's the idea. We know that we're going to have to work that glitter off. That's kind of fun, actually. I mean, it's an Easter egg, so, you know, colors and, excuse me, my voice is cracking. Colors are always good for that. All right. Let's do one more with the embossing powder. We did the last one, we did the shell with gold. So let's do bronze. I like the bronze. I think it's pretty. Okay, so let's use that. Oh, I left the cap off of this. That's not good. Leaving things to dry out. I have a feeling this might be pretty with some glitter on it too. So, you know, I guess if you get the embossing powder on it and you're like, not so much, I guess we can always put glitter over it, right? But oh, apparently I made a mess of that. Let's see what else. Goodness. I might need to get a smaller brush so I can get up against the edges there. This one's pretty messy. Okay. I didn't do a very good job of dumping that glitter, did I? All right. Let's hit it with the heat tool. See what it does. I'm afraid it's going to buckle a good deal, but okay. It did buckle right there. It came off. Well, that is definitely not a success. So let me clean this off a little bit here and we'll figure out how to fix it. You know, that's the thing about this kind of stuff. You try it, and if it doesn't work, you figure out how to fix it. So we have a couple choices. Because this one, you can see, look, it's just coming right off. It's just going to peel right off. So I was having trouble with the glue on this anyway, so this side seems to be okay. I mean, could use it as half an egg. Or maybe glue it back down. Yeah. Is this stuck here? See, this side seems to be stuck just fine. It's just that side, and I'm just not sure why. What do you think? What do you think? Should we glue it back? Okay, well, I thought that was going to come down. Let's try some of the art glitter glue here. Oh, crafting with cats. Hello, Tish Monster. Here, let's get back, sweetie. Let's try that. Maybe the art glitter glue will hold better. Yeah, because it is a better. It is better at maybe this kind of thing for sure. I always try to repair things. Hopefully this will work. Oh, but now it's stuck into the page. There we go. Okay, well that seems to have worked. All right. Well, good. So I don't know, which method you like best. I think I like them all. I'm not sure any one is any better than the others. I think they're just different. So we can take a quick look at the eggs in particular. Right. This one with some of the paint. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking some of these, let's see, let's grab one of the shells. Would be, I have some background cards that I made not too long ago. So this would be a good focal point if I put maybe some text behind it, some lace, something like that. It would be a really good focal point on a card with, with some other stuff. It's not just by itself. It definitely needs some more, but that's kind of my thought is that's what these things are for. They're to make a nice focal point. Okay, I hope you enjoyed our time together. If you did, please hit like and subscribe. It's really important. It helps me a lot. And it kind of encourages me to keep making some of these videos. You can check out my Facebook and Instagram if you'd like to, and talk to me there. You can leave a comment and talk to me on here. I'd like to hear your comments and thoughts. So that's always great. Until next time, remember, use what you have to make your life more beautiful. Bye now.